Pottery has been something that my wife and I have been very interested in. And almost 30 years ago now, we went to San Diego. We picked up this chimenea in Tijuana, found a shopping cart, and pushed it over the border. It was very, very reasonable. It has some cracking. It's not the most quality piece of pottery that we probably could have got, but it was what we could afford at the time. Later on in life, we found that we'd take trips and pick up pottery here and there. One time, we intended to buy some furniture and ended up buying some pottery, and so this is some of the pottery that we ended up with. This is really fine, and it's really thin, good quality clay, Indian style pottery. This here is some Mexican pottery, and you can see that it's very, very cracked. In fact, it's real fragile. It's got leather, as if they anticipated that this thing was going to crack up and break. And so we've got quite a variety. This is some rather primitive. It's thicker. There's no cracks in it whatsoever. It did have leather on it, and it has since weathered away. The interesting thing about pottery is that you've got to start with some decent clay, and you really have to work that to get it to consolidate. And so if you ever watch a potter, they will just pound that thing and really get it to consolidate. And then when they begin to work with it, they begin to add more moisture, and they put pressure on the outside, and eventually they put pressure on the inside, and they'll bring that thing up to the shape that they want. Then, after a period of time, they'll put it in the kiln and they'll fire it, because if they don't, it would never make it this far. Yes, this has cracks, and yes, it's broken, but it's still here. If this had never been fired, it probably wouldn't have made it very long. And so, in the process, you see how important it is to go through all of that. And God likens us to these vessels that He's going to use. And so we might find that we get a little bit of pounding in life, and we might find that we feel some pressure on the outside and on the inside. And then ultimately we might find that we go through the kiln. Our verse this morning is in 1 Peter 1:7. It says, that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than that of gold, perishes though it be tried with fire, might be found into the praise and the honor and the glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ. That the trial of your faith, being much more precious than that of gold. And so that's why it talks about in the title that our trials are precious, because what they do is they create in us the stability that we need, and we all need stability. Now, I showed you the pot and I showed you the cracks. In the time that the Bible was written, if they had a situation like that where they didn't pick the right material and it didn't work out right, they would take and they would fill that crack with wax and then rub a little bit of clay on the outside. There was a passage that was shared to me about the same time that I got this chimenea, and it says this in Philippians 1:10, that ye may be approved the things which are excellent, that you may be sincere and without offense unto the day of Christ. That you may be sincere. I was taught by my pastor that meant that you're not filled with wax, so that you're the real deal. Because what would happen is they would fill it with wax, they would set it on the shelf, and when that hot sun would hit that pottery, that wax would come out. And so, we're tried by fire, so that when the days come and the difficulties come, that we'll be able to withstand. If difficult days come, and they can come, we know that they can, would you be able to stand? Now, what's interesting about this chimenea, and when you take a look at it, is yes, difficulties are going to come for that, because you build a fire inside of it. So think about this. Not only are we to go through the fire, we're to have a fire within us. We're to have a fire for the Lord and a passion. Do you have that fire? Are you able to go through the fires? Some questions you might want to ask yourself. May God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I just sincerely appreciate it. God bless.